everyone, it's Henrietta and Heather, and welcome to a Millennial podcast where we dive deep into the life of our 30s.
We'll discuss our struggles, dreams, relationships, icks, and anything millennials can relate to. Sit back, relax, and let's head on this journey together. We are 30s Unfiltered.
Have you ever woken up and realized this version of my life just does not fit anymore?
Today, we're getting into what reinvention really looks like, especially in your 30s when it's less about glow-ups and more about identity shifts.
Yeah, so let's get into it. Have you reinvented yourself, Heather, recently or not recently?
Yes, recently. As we know, I've gone through my breakup, my separation, where I thought that my life was going to look completely different, marriage, more kids. But I've completely changed my life over the last year and a half. I am single. I have gone back into my nursing career. I'm working on, obviously, our podcast, my own personal branding. I have a coaching business now that I've recently just launched. Got myself a nice apartment in Marina Del Rey. Have made more friends. I'm going out more. And so my life looks completely different than it did a year ago. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, it's insane, especially because I was there before and after.
I know.
But I'm curious because when I hear the word reinvent, it's like doing something, but then you're like, actually, no, I want to do something completely different instead of being in a setting where you have to. Because, like in my case, the times that I've changed my life or I've had to do new things is because I had to, not because I was like, well, actually, I don't like this anymore. But that's my perspective of like reinvention is that like, for example, like you said, someone being stuck in a corporate job and then them like leaving and then starting a micro bakery or something like that. Because
That
like
makes sense. Yeah. Essentially, like, I left my relationship. I chose it.
right,
So, right when I decided that, I had to literally reinvent my whole life and what it was going to look like. Was I going to go back to, I had bought a house before that. I had, do I go back to that? Do I start something new? And so I literally had to reinvent everything. But I really had this vision for myself that I was going to live in a space where I was around like young business professionals. I wasn't going to be tied down. I'm around a lot of single people. I'm around the environment that I wanted to create for myself. But I do get what you mean when circumstances change and you have no choice but
yeah.
to shift. I totally get that.
Initially, with this question and this topic, I'm like, I actually feel like I've been pretty consistent with what I want out of life and my goals and my dreams and like what I want my life to look like, and that I haven't like changed my path. Again, circumstantially, I've had to do certain things just to like survive, but I don't feel like I've like reinvented myself, like starting therapy and like talking about feelings, like actually opening up myself. I will say that is the biggest reinvention that I've had.
I definitely get that. And I think that's a huge part of like reinventing is growing and developing yourself in a different way than you normally would have been. Because, when we're born, we adapt whatever our parents' culture is, and that's what we know, that's what we learn. And as we grow older, if we're seeking to change, we have to learn the skills to navigate life. And if we want to do it in a way that's healthy, and I feel like that's the route that you and I have chosen to go, where we do talk about our feelings, we do process things, we're not jumping into a relationship just because we're codependent. Like, that's how I used to be, But now I'm like, okay, I'm single. I'm going to stay single. I'm not going to jump into the next relationship because I know that's not healthy. I'm going to sit here with myself, with my feelings, and work this shit out, which is not easy, which a lot of people don't do. So,
Exactly. That's true.
yes, honey, you are. We are.
Do you feel like growing and reinvention is kind of the same thing?
Yeah, I feel like we're constantly reinventing ourselves every day. you know, because you get to pick and choose who you get to be for the day.
Yeah. I guess I was thinking about the big picture of like changing your whole life and like changing your trajectory, and that because that's what I was thinking about before when I was like, I don't think I've like actually like reinvented myself, because I literally just pictured someone going from something that they've wanted to do their whole life, and then they're like, actually, I don't think so. Like that type of thing, because I still want like this the life that I've always pictured. And so
Yeah.
I haven't like shifted away from that. And that's what I think I was imagining reinvention being like when we first started this conversation.
To each his own, it's your perspective of it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of people that have lived the same life for years and they can choose to reinvent themselves. And it doesn't have to be drastically, it could just be whatever you choose. And I think that's the best part of it. It doesn't have to look any certain type of way.
Yeah.
That's just how I think of it.
I'm thinking about the concept a little bit differently now. Instead of
Hmm.
like changing, yeah, your whole life. I mean, because I mean, I did reinvent myself when I moved to LA. I mean, I did change a lot, and the way my way of thinking, everything. But
Hmm.
I think I expected that to happen also, you know.
I feel like you are reinventing yourself right now as well. You know, you've been going through a lot of your own personal struggles and you're learning to deal with it and cope with it. And I think like this is also part of your journey where you are shifting.
Yeah, look at us.
I know.
Look at us growing.
All right, guys, we want to connect with you. Tag a friend who's in the middle of a messy reinvention.
And thank you for joining us today. Before we leave, we ask you, what part of your life are you reinventing?
Have a great week, y'all. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Hey, thanks for listening. We hope you got some takeaways from today's episode.
You can also follow us on Instagram and YouTube at 30s Unfiltered or email us at 30sunfiltered@gmail.com.
Please leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to our channels. See you next time.